Today, we're going to talk about how to build a successful YouTube channel in 2023 without yet being confident on camera, being a video editor, or having a bunch of speaking experience. Luckily for me, when I started my YouTube journey, I did have speaking experience. And even then it was hard to transition into talking to an object, which is one of the biggest challenges you will face if you do want to start creating YouTube videos. It's a bit of an artificial environment, but I'm going to show you guys how to work through that stuff today. So if you guys stay to the end, I'm going to give you a really good resource. So I'm going to send this out afterwards, which is our YouTube launch package. This is going to be everything from a hot list of videos you can start creating to a scripting template, an equipment guide, and a step-by-step guide on a channel setup. This presentation is not going to be a big pitch. I'm going to do my best to deliver a bunch of value to you guys. So first of all, if you don't know me, my name is Preston. I'm the founder and CEO of Agent Launch. I'm also a licensed realtor. Agent Launch, we primarily help our clients with Google advertising and YouTube. And that was a really natural partnership for us to team up with Street Text because they do such a great job on the Facebook side. Linnea uses both of us. So I'm going to try to tie together and expand on some of the stuff Linnea's talked about. I've been able to build my YouTube channel to 24,000 subscribers as of today, and it's changed my life. And I'm hoping, and what I do in my program at Agent Launch is a lot of what I do is the YouTube and the sales coaching around it. So like Linnea was talking about, it's not just about creating videos, it's about using them. And that's the part where most people go wrong is they don't properly leverage their videos in their drip automations and their sales process. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how you can actually do that. Okay. So let's dive into it. I'm going to go through really quickly why you should care about YouTube. And I know Linnea already talked about this, but I'm going to zip through this really quick. The first thing is YouTube's absolutely massive. It's going to surpass Facebook soon as the biggest platform in the world. It doesn't have any competition. No one's creeping in, trying to take over YouTube. They don't have any competition. Google Videos used to be part of it, but guess what? They bought YouTube. It's also replacing TV. How many of you have children who watch YouTube more than TV? Probably a lot of you, right? So that's a sign of where things are going. Personally, I don't know many people even my age who have a cable subscription who aren't sports fanatics. So YouTube is highly targeted as well. The best leads you'll ever get are YouTube leads. Everyone who's done YouTube will tell you that because they've already watched your videos, and you get this phenomena that says, Eric, I feel like I know you. I've watched all your videos. And anyone who's done enough YouTube knows what that feels like when someone reaches out, because often it takes them 3, 4, 5 videos before they actually reach out to you. And the best kind of leads are when people are searching on YouTube, what's it like to live in your city? You can actually have content that directly addresses that question. And therefore, you're that first point of contact, delivering value to them and information to them about the place they want to live in or move to. YouTube's also cost recovering. In 2021, my YouTube channel made me $23,000 in Google ad revenue. If I was living in the right part of the world, I could probably live off of that, which is pretty cool. Also, YouTube is evergreen. I want to be very clear about why I think YouTube is the best platform to deploy your videos on. It's because when you put a video out on Facebook, how long does it last? Instagram, a day, 2 days, right? Max, usually. YouTube, this video, for example, was published April 13th of this year. If you look at the viewer count over time, it's just on an upward trajectory. It's not slowing down, right? So I launched that video in April. It's still getting just as many videos as it did in April today. So YouTube videos, although they're a higher investment up front of energy than say making an Instagram video, you actually get a lot more from it because your YouTube videos will last a year or 2. And I promise I'm going to show you guys some tactical stuff in this presentation where you can actually create videos like Leon, to your question, on a shoestring budget. It doesn't have to be expensive. And I'll actually talk a little bit about how Linnea does it all with just her phone. So another thing is YouTube's compounding. Once you get a bunch of videos, you're targeting a bunch of different search criteria and your videos start feeding each other. People will find out about you from one of your 20 videos and then they'll go watch your other stuff. And so it compounds. It has a compounding effect that other platforms don't quite have. Okay. Another thing I love about YouTube is you can chop it up into your social media content. If you focus on making long form value-driven content, then you can actually chop that up into social media content and you can feed all of your social media channels just from that one channel if you do it right. So really quickly, I'm going to cover some really good channels that I want you all to follow because these are great channels for you to get inspiration for your own YouTube channel. Okay. You already know Linnea, go follow her. She makes great YouTube content. She actually coaches with me in our program, YouTube. And so we do that together, which has really been fun, but she's done such a great job. And our team has been working on her video editing and branding her channel and supporting her in that way. And she's crushing it with YouTube. And I'm super excited to see what the next 12 months brings. Another one of our clients is Todd. He came out of the gate 4 months ago and he's already made a bunch of videos, got a series of clients and done extremely well with this. You can see some of his videos have gotten over 5,000 views, over 3,000, over 2,000 views. He hasn't been doing it that long. Jennifer Gramling, I don't know the exact number of deals she's done in a year, but I believe it's 30 plus in the last 12 months. She's only been doing it for a year and a half. And that's Moving to Nashville with Jennifer Gramling. Levi is kind of the king of YouTube. He has 18,000 subscribers. I know they do 100+ deals. They have a team of over 10 agents now. So they're living in Dallas, Texas. Rochelle Manguino has only been doing it for 8 months. She's got over 20 deals so far. She's building her team around this. She has 5. She's had some crazy videos. She's got one video that has 200,000 views about don't move to Toronto. I'll show you guys a bit about that later. But I think one of the best things you can do with YouTube is follow people that you can get inspired by. Tom Story, he's an OG. He's been doing it 6 years. He does 1.3 million in GCI a year roughly, and he has a database of 300 people. He just uses video to really nurture those people. Tom Story is a great one because he actually uses his videos in more creative ways, and he's often on the news in Toronto. He's often doing a lot of cool stuff just because of his YouTube channel. So let's talk about the algorithm. This is some of the new stuff. If you guys have seen me talk about this before, I want to talk about how do you get the most out of the algorithm, and then I'm going to give you guys 10 very concise steps to actually succeeding with YouTube without any experience. So let's talk about how the YouTube algorithm works for a second. So there's really 3 places that your videos are shown on YouTube, okay? The first is in the search. So you search for something, and then you see a list of videos related to that search. The second is the homepage, which is called like Explore. And so when you go to YouTube, it's going to just push you recommended videos in front of you of any variety based on your search history and what you tend to watch. And the third place is on recommended videos. So when you're already watching a video, third place is recommended videos. So you have to understand how the algorithm works so you can get your videos showing up in these 3 places more often, okay? Now, depending on each video you actually promote, you're going to have different places where your video shows up more. Like I've had super successful videos where 80% of my traffic for that video came from recommended videos. I've had videos where 70% of my traffic came just from search. And I've had videos where like 55% of my traffic was actually from external when I posted it in a Facebook group. Like I posted a YouTube training video in the Follow Up Boss community a couple of weeks ago, and the viewership went from 600 views to 1,200 views in a week. And that was 55% external. So that caught traction in a Facebook group. A lot of people clicked on it and watched it. So there's a variety of ways you can do this. But let's talk about the algorithm. Let's understand what the algorithm first cares about. The first and biggest thing the YouTube algorithm cares about is watch time. How long are people watching your videos? That's the number one thing that says to YouTube that your content is interesting. And what does YouTube want to do? They want to keep their users on the platform longer to deliver more ads to them. It's as basic as I can put it. Google is an advertising company. They create services and they advertise. That's like 90-some% of their revenue. I don't know with Android now what it is, but generally Google's core business is mostly advertising revenue. So watch time is the biggest thing. So what is the average length of time people are actually watching your video? So there's a few ways you can increase your watch time. One is by making your content more engaging with a strong edit. A great video is really born in the edit and the planning. So you can use pattern interrupts, jump cuts, good animations, lower thirds, B-roll. Just watch some of my videos, watch some of Linnea's videos. You'll see all of that stuff and what I mean. B-roll is where something takes over the screen. You can do the zoom in, zoom out. You jump cut, so you cut it and just skip forward constantly in between with your pauses and ums and ahs. Those things make your content more engaging. You can also make your content more sticky with a strong structure. So Sunny Lenarduzzi put out this formula called the HOT formula, which is hook, outcome, testimonial. So how you want to start your video is with a hook. You want to tell them the hook, outcome, and testimonial, which means hook them as why they should stay. Tell them the outcome of what they're going to get if they watch that video, and tell them why you're the right person to listen to, right? So that's the best formula you can use to start out your video, okay? So generally speaking, that's how you want to start with your hook is like, what's up, everybody? In this video, we're going to talk about the 10 pros and 10 cons of what it's like to live in Vancouver, BC. I've been selling real estate in this area for over 10 years. I've lived here for 30 years, almost my whole life. And I feel like I'm really qualified to deliver that answer. And if you stay to the end, I'm going to give you one secret that most people don't know about Vancouver that you should be aware of if you want to move here. So like if I do that in the introduction, people are more likely to stay. It's more likely to increase your watch time and your viewer retention. That's really important. So that's a lot of what we teach is that structure and understanding how it works. The last part is making your content more watchable with strong audio and video. The number one thing about your YouTube videos is your audio. If your audio sucks, people are not going to listen to you. They can handle 720p video. They can handle video from your iPhone, but they can't handle bad audio. People will not watch your video. YouTube's come out and said this. So make sure you're paying attention to what microphone you're using and testing your audio. Now, if you look at this video here, this is one of my Google Ads tutorials. You'll see that the watch time, basically what happens in any video is you're going to get people will click on it and then people are going to drop off, right? So that's always going to happen. Every video you make, you're not going to get 100% retention. But it's about after that drop off, how many people stay. So this is a really good video, but it's a 52-minute tutorial. So like you notice people start coming back to the video and they rewatch things, but the retention overall is pretty good. If you look at the relative audience retention of this video, it's well above average for most parts of the video. So that's where you want to be, is you want to be well above that average line as far as how many people are staying. If you're way below average, your video is YouTube's probably not going to show your video in many of those three places. Okay. The second piece is launch velocity. So this is how many views did you get in the first 24 hours? Okay. Really important. When you launch a video, you want to make sure you're sending it out to different places. So you can increase your launch velocity by sending your video out to your email list, right? I mean, Linnea did this not too long ago, and I looked at her video and she had like 29 views, and she said she had like 10 conversations started over email at 29 views. So like you want to make sure you're actually deploying the content over email. And another thing is you want to repurpose the content to social media. And I already spoke about that a little bit, but basically you can see in this video I just showed you above, see that spike here? See this spike at the beginning of this graph? That's from me sending it out in an email blast and on social media. So I got a lot of action in the first 24 hours. And that's going to teach YouTube sooner if your video is worth watching or not. And it's going to start plugging in the algorithm and testing it more. So a lot of people, there's mixed stuff on this out there on the internet. Some people say don't share it on social media because people click and leave. No, if you make a good video, primarily you want to send it out over email, and you want to make the email tell people enough about the video that it's going to hook them into wanting to watch it, but don't give away all the secrets. Let them click on it and actually watch the video for themselves. Generally speaking, you want to actually have a thumbnail in the video that people can click on that'll take them directly to YouTube. So make sure you launch it in the first 24 hours. The next thing is your click-through rate. So the click-through rate, and these are just three points of the algorithm. So the click-through rate is what percentage of people who see your video on the home screen, in the recommended videos, or on the search, what percentage of those people actually click on your video, okay? So there's a couple ways you can increase your CTR or click-through rate. One is you want to have a professionally designed thumbnail. So you want to use high color contrasts. Don't stress so much about your thumbnails being branded and using brand colors. Use high contrast yellows, high contrast colors on dark background, really pop. Now, the second thing is you want to use big words and few words. The biggest mistake I see with YouTube videos is people write a paragraph on the thumbnail and then they put their brand logo on it and all this other stuff. Thumbnails show up really small. Letters to be big, you want to have few letters. I usually say 4 or less is a good rule of thumb. You also want to have a catchy complementary keyword researched title, okay? So this video for me is a good example. Like lead generation platform, estate agents, which platform is best? And the thumbnail says Google Ads, Facebook, YouTube with question marks. They complement each other. They don't repeat each other. Most people will repeat themselves. You want to find a solution that complements each other. This is something with all of our clients. I say, send me your videos. I want to help you with this because it's really important to get higher click-through rates. Because the first step before launch velocity or anything else, watch time, is you need to get people to click on your video first, right? So this is the first step. And by the way, guys, I know I'm going to cover a lot in this. I'm going to hammer home some value. You're probably going to want to watch this a few times, but I promise you this is all really, really actionable stuff. So let's talk about the 10 steps to success. This is literally going to be a 10-step guide on how you can actually be successful with YouTube. And I'm going to repeat some of the things I've already said. The first step is find inspiration, R&D, research and duplicate. Find 2 channels you like, you resonate with, and you feel like, I want to be like this person, right? Find those 2 people and then plan 3 videos. Because I think once you, like I promise you guys, our clients video 1 versus video 3 versus video 5 are all very different. Like there's a huge improvement between those videos if you have the right coaching for it. And so find 2 channels you like, plan your first 3 videos out, big topics, things you're inspired by, and start planning that content. But don't expect anything for 6 months. I think the thing that kills people's YouTube goals is expectations. YouTube channels take a while to get traction. In some cases, like Rochelle, like Todd, there's some cases where people get traction early because they're just really good out of the gate and they commit to it. It can happen. Depends how competitive your market is, right? If you're in like San Francisco, it's going to be a little harder to rank than if you're in some smaller town. And so you have to understand your market and you have to be consistent over time. Just try not to expect anything for 6 months. Your YouTube channel may not grow organically right away, but you can always use your videos, and I'm going to get into that later. So next step is branding. Brand your YouTube channel. I really encourage you to think a lot about this. This is something I help all our clients with as step one. Is one of the biggest things I see being in this industry for 6 years now is a lot of people start with their personal brand and then they regret it later. So like, here's 2 examples of brands you can do. I think a personal brand's great if that's what you want to do and you want to commit to that, right? Like Lynette, we just talked about this on your first day the other day, right? It was a big conversation. It's a big thing to think about. Is like, do you want to be, in Lynette's case, Homes by Lynette, or do you want to be the North San Diego home team or something like that? So it's a big question. And I have a lot of people, like I just got off a sales call yesterday with a client who her brand was Agent Carter, and she wants to move to something that's not her name. She wants to move to something she can build a team around and get out of production. So I recommend you strongly consider what you're going to want in 4 or 5 years, because I see this happen a lot. There's a couple options. One is obviously how Linnea has it, but the recommendation I want to make is be consistent. Whatever you choose, be consistent. I see a lot of people who choose 2 brands and they're kind of trying to rock both, but be consistent about it. So Linnea is like Linnea Carver, LinneaCarver.com, Linnea Carver, Linnea Carver. Everything's Linnea Carver. So she's easy to search. When you plug her into Google, you find everything. You don't want to mix them up too much. In Todd's case, he has Living in Kona, Hawaii. His website is livinginkona.com. His Google My Business is Todd Barrett, Living in Kona, Hawaii, Refocus Realty, and his social is Living in Kona. So stick to that one thing and build your brand around it and build your team around that, and find a domain first. Your first step in this is going on namecheap.com, finding what domain you actually like, building your brand around having that domain. So Todd is like, you want to be like Todd at livinginkona.com, livinginkona.com, Living in Kona, Hawaii. Like, you want it all to line up. It's really important for searchability on Google. Next, you want to get yourself some basic equipment. For me, I have a pretty high-end setup here. I have this Sony ZV-E10 with like a Rode mic. I'm actually talking to you through this mic right now, plugged into my computer, but the more basic setup is what Linnea uses. And this is to the point I was referring earlier, is this doesn't have to be expensive, but it can be. So like the Sony ZV-E1's like $700. It's a great camera. I used it for a long time. A lot of my videos were shot in that. Super simple, compact, easy to use. And I use the Rode Video Micro, that little mic on top of it. It's called a shotgun mic, similar to the one I just showed you, but this is a more like high-end one. But what I'd recommend for most of you is you just get a tripod with a phone adapter, use your iPhone and get a Rode SmartLab Plus. It'll plug right into your phone with a little Apple connector, and you can literally record on your phone. Linnea does this with Teleprompter Pro, and she scripts her videos and she can read from them, and she just talks through a wired mic, and it sounds great and it looks great. You don't have to make it complicated. I think the SmartLab is $100. I don't know if you're still here, Linnea, but I think it's around $100.
Yeah, that's about right. Like $59, I think, yesterday.
Yeah, there you go, even cheaper. So don't make it complicated in the first place. What I generally recommend is keep it simple until you've proven to yourself that you're going to stick to this, and then upgrade. Too many people get stuck in the, I need all the equipment, so I can't record yet. I don't have the perfect setting. So keep it simple. So the next thing is the setting. How many of you think this video looks good right here? Like pretty good lighting, pretty good background blur. Like that is literally me in front of a window with a simpler setup than I have now. With that setup I just showed you, the Sony ZV-E1, the little thing, that was it. Don't like use natural light instead of trying to be a director of photography and using all these like softbox lights and all that stuff. Keep it simple by putting your video setup in front of a window and film during the day. You'll get a really nice balanced lighting just like this. And if you're wearing glasses, especially, you're not going to get that like ring light reflection in them either. So a good camera in front of the window with a bit of depth of field will give you a great setup. Don't over obsess about this. Just keep it really, really simple. The next thing you want to do is going to script your videos. Now, there's a couple ways to do this. Some people prefer to really script every word. I'm a big fan of scripting the hook and the intro, and then using bullet points to follow for the rest of the video. So here's an example. I'll give you an example of like this script. So if you look on the top right here, like one, you want to use proven scripts with proven reach. I prefer to use bullet points. Linnea prefers to script the whole video and use a teleprompter app. There's a couple options depending on what you're comfortable with. But here's the script we give out, like top 10 pros and cons of living in X. So let's just say Vancouver, where I'm from. Top 10 pros and cons of living in Vancouver. In the description, you want to make sure you have a really like emojied and organized way for people to reach out to you with all your contact information. So it's really clean and easy. In the edit or in the actual script of the video though, I usually script out just the hook and the intro. So it goes something like this, like Vancouver is known for its beautiful mountains and scenery. Are you thinking about living here? I've lived here for 25 years and I've helped so many people move here as well. I absolutely love it. And in this video, I'm going to break down the top 10 pros and top 10 cons living in Vancouver, which will help you decide if this is the right place for you, so on and so forth. Then you can go into your intro. That you want to get right. You want to make sure you get the hook and intro right. The body, I find coaching hundreds of people on this, most people get the body right because you can all talk about your city. That's not that hard to say. The weather or the traffic is bad or the beach is super close or like whatever those pros and cons are, you can generally talk about them with pretty much ease, right? You live there, but it's the hook and the intro that people struggle with and the call to action thereafter. So generally the call to action would follow saying something like, you know, if you're in the market or if you have any questions and you just want to pick my brain about what it's like to live here or even the real estate market here, you can go ahead and drop a comment. I might get back to you, or you can, I'll get back to you, or you can book a call with me directly or reach out to me using the contact information in the description below. So make sure you reference the contact information in the description below because they're going to reach out to you how they feel most comfortable. Next step is to film. So I just showed you this setup. I lied. This is one of my newer setups, but that is literally what I filmed that shot. I just took a screenshot of and showed you. This is where I filmed it. So this is just down there. I moved my office up in the loft, but this is just down there in front of the window here in Mexico. And basically I took a little handle holder, put my Gorilla Pod around it and to get it up to eye level. And then I shot. Nowadays I have this it's like a post on my desk, but either way, like this is super simple, a setup, and it'll work really well. So quick tips for success with filming, guys. Pay attention to this part. This is something I think a lot of people get wrong. One, obviously keep your setup simple, but speak louder and faster than you think is normal. The biggest thing I get with people's first videos is they kind of talk to the camera like they would be talking to their friend. And they kind of talk like this, and then it just doesn't come off in quite the same way. So when you're presenting or when you're on camera, you need to like up your energy because I promise you on camera, it'll feel normal. And so that's one of the biggest things. The second biggest thing is don't start and stop your camera on and off. Don't do that. Just turn it on, film. If you screw it up, just reshoot that part and move on. Your editor will cut out the noise in the middle. So if that's really important, shoot it in one shot. Your editor doesn't want to get 25 unorganized files. They just want one shot. They'll go in and they'll cut it out. If you have a problem with your editor, you screw something up, talk to your editor in the camera. I'll do this. Hey, Jorge, I'll maybe shoot a piece of something 3 times. Like, especially if I'm filming an ad for YouTube, I'll film certain parts like 6 times. I'll be like, Jorge, can you make sure you use that last part? I think I like that one the best. And then I'll just go on to the next part. So film it in one shot. And when you get good at this, you'll learn where your hand positions are and you'll blah, 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 blah. And then you'll be like, oh, I want to reshoot that. And I'll go back to where my hand positions were and I'll go again. And then when he cuts it, it just feels natural. But don't be afraid to talk to your editor, film it in one shot, super simple. After you film, take a thumbnail photo. Do not use a stock photo. Take a thumbnail photo with an expression that matches the video. Rochelle's video here, see how it has 156,000 views? If I went to YouTube right now, she has 210,000. And I only took this screenshot a few weeks ago. But this is a perfect example. Have your thumbnail complement. So don't move to Toronto, Ontario. She says, I can't stand Toronto, with some emotion. Toronto in the background, like a very Toronto building, right? So keep it simple, but have them complement each other. And make sure you take a photo for your thumbnail specifically, and don't miss that. Don't worry, guys, we're almost done. Next is edit. I highly recommend not doing your own edits. It's a really hard thing to do. So contract an editor, use an editing service like at Agent Launch. It's part of our program that we edit some of your videos, and we have an ongoing service with that. But you can find an editor on Upwork or Fiverr. The one thing I recommend is find someone with YouTube editing experience. I made this mistake in the early days. I tried to teach someone what I wanted, and it just was a big mess. So you're not in a position to teach someone how to edit YouTube videos because you're not a YouTube editor. So find someone with YouTube editing experience with a channel that they've done some work on with relevant advice, and don't try to teach them how you want it edited, show them. So if you say, go to Linnea's channel and you say, I really like how Linnea's videos are edited. Can you edit them like this? Instead of saying, I want this and I want this and I want this background and I want this. It's just like confusing. So show rather than tell. Make sense? And also keep your workflow simple. The simplest work I can advise you on is upload your files to a Google Drive, give your editor access to that Google Drive, and then give your editor access to your YouTube channel as an editor, and they will upload your videos when they're done to YouTube unlisted so you can review them on YouTube. If they're good to go, you just publish them and you're off to the races. Keep it super simple. And this is all stuff I had to learn on my own in the past. So I hope this is making it easier and not making it feel too complicated. Also, reviewing your videos, I feel a lot of people can get really stuck on this. Like, spend more time reviewing videos early on, but don't go crazy with spelling errors and like re-edits and going back and forth. Like, just get your video. If there's errors in it, like for example, my editing team made a video for me a couple of weeks ago, and it was a short form for Instagram. And there was one typo in it. It said realtors.com instead of realtor.com. I'm not going to send that back for a re-edit. Like, our clients, we know that it's not a big deal, especially if you're using a remote editor whose English is not their first language. This will happen, but don't get hung up on it. Just say, hey, this was a typo, for next time, just work on the next time. Don't go crazy back and forth with re-edits. It's just going to slow you down. So pick your battles and don't be too picky about the small things, because at the end of the day, no one's going to remember. It doesn't have to be perfect. Now, this is my favorite part. And this is what Linnea was talking about earlier around deploying your videos. This I'm really passionate about. So there's a few ways. There's 6 parts to step 10. But how do you use your videos? Well, YouTube's really unique because you can link to your videos. So how do we do that? Well, the first thing is deploy via YouTube. Add your tags, add your cards, add your end screen. That's just basic stuff. Upload your default upload template with a healthy description. Tags just tell YouTube what your video is about. Cards are how you link from one video to another. End screens, how you wrap up your video and again, link to other videos. So obviously you want to deploy it via YouTube. Second is deploy it via social media, including YouTube Shorts. So generally speaking, if you see this style of video, if you go to my Instagram, Eric B. Preston, you'll see pretty much only this type of video. And so our editing team does that. And that's usually repurposed content from my main YouTube videos. And so usually every video, we take one video, we do a teaser, and that to drive traffic to the YouTube video. And then we do one video that's like a repurposed content. In some cases, we do 2 or 3. Sometimes I take these webinars and we cut out little snippets of these webinars and we put them on social media as repurposed content. That's a really simple one. Next is deploy by email. We already talked about that before. Make sure in the first 24 hours, you're sending it out by email. Next, and this is a bit of gold for everyone, is send it out via text. This I love. Hey, Jason, I noticed you were searching for homes in Kona a lot lately. I just wanted to send you a quick video on some of the things many buyers aren't aware of when buying in Kona. Let me know if this is helpful. This is property pitfall disasters of buying real estate in Hawaii. So he talks about lava zones. How many of you have heard of lava zones when buying real estate? Some of you. So like, imagine if you're moving to Hawaii, like some people probably don't know that. So this is a very valuable video for someone searching for their dream home in Hawaii. They may not realize, oh, that's in like a phase 1 lava zone. That's kind of risky, especially because there was just an eruption right like last week. So text, it's great for proactive outreach. It's also great for objection handling. So how many of you have got the objection, I'm just browsing? If you do online leads, you've definitely had this objection. So I'm just browsing, I'm not ready to talk to this agent. No problem. I understand you're likely very early in your process. We're just here to help and meet you where you're at. I noticed you were searching in Kona, our team lead COD. I'd actually normally say, no problem. I understand you're likely very early in your process. Most people who sign up on our website are. We're just here to help and meet you where you're at. I noticed you were searching in Kona. Our team leader, Todd, actually just made a great video on his favorite neighborhoods in the area to invest. Would sending that to you be helpful? What's their goal? To get you off the phone. So what are they going to say? Yeah, of course. You say, sure. Great. Is it all right if I text that to you? And they're like, yeah. And then you can confirm their phone number, right? And so really cool tactic to get over that objection is by leveraging videos. Now, the bonus step to this is, I like to say, let me go back to this for a second. I really like this a lot. And I never try to end a phone call without offering up a video. Because what are people going to do? How I would equate this is like, how many of you have ever walked into like a clothing store? Like, quick show of hands. Everyone, right? How many of you have walked into a clothing store and someone came right up to you and was like, hey, can I help you? And they're like, whoa, dude, I just got here. And it felt a little aggressive, right? Probably a lot of you. Now, what if that person just came up and said, hey, no worries. Here's a cool brochure on our recent sales. Let me know if you need any help, right? Very different experience. You're probably going to go read that brochure and be like, oh yeah, I don't want to listen to you tell me all the sales or try to push anything on me, but I'll read a brochure. That's kind of what you're doing here, is saying, hey, no worries at all. How about I just send you a video? You can watch it in your free time. They'll be like, yeah, sure. Then what are they going to do? They're going to watch that video on their phone in their downtime. And you're like, oh, this guy Todd's actually the real deal. Like, I might pick up my phone next time or even reach out to him, right? So that's kind of the sales process side of this. The last part is adding it to your drip campaign. So stop relying on the YouTube algorithm, because if you do that, it's going to be a long road in a lot of cases. So generally speaking, and Linnea spoke about this, is what we do in our program for our clients is we take the videos and put them in the drip campaigns in Follow Up Boss so they get texted and emailed to all your new leads right away. So it's like a video on day 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, and 10. You just hit them with video, video, video. And what happens is over time, a lot of people start watching those videos, then they warm up to you and they start engaging with you. And this happens automatically because you did it in your drips.